This is Focal Point with Brian Fisher on AFR Talk. Listen to the audio podcast or download today's program at afr.net. You can also read Brian Fisher's columns at onenewsnow.com. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email us anytime at focalpoint@afr.net. Focalpoint@afr.net.
Hi, and welcome back to this Tuesday edition of Focal Point, American Family Radio Talk Network. Brian Fisher is my name. With us on our decision maker line, Charles Johnson, the investigative journalist that broke the story about this massive fraud, this massive vote buying scandal, at least alleged by black pastor Stevie Fielder. Understand, just received a text, Charles, that the story has finally been posted at the Clarion Ledger, the largest newspaper here in the state of Mississippi. A couple of quick questions. You know, you've obviously made an assessment of Reverend Fielder and believe that he is a credible witness. I've listened to his comments. I believe the same. We'll play more of his sound bites after we let you go, and our listeners can decide for themselves how credible they seem. But you indicated, Charles, that there may be more information to come. Right now, we just have Reverend Fielder. He's the only one we have on record on this scandal. You indicated that there may be more information to come out that's going to corroborate his story.
Yes, I'm told that there are going to be other potential black pastors coming forth as well. Not from me, but from other reporters. And I look forward to reading those reports just as much as I imagine your listeners would as well. I would just say that, you know, I am trying to do the very best I can, as, you know, this is a two-man operation. You know, just like all Americans, I thought I would just publish this story, and I did not expect it to go as crazy as it did. But nonetheless, I'm very excited, and I think there will be more information coming out. I encourage people to go to go to Twitter, go to twitter.com/ChuckCJohnson/media. You know, those racist flyers that have appeared all over the place in Mississippi, the robocalls, all of those all came from people who are like Mississippi housewives who were sending me stuff and sending me, information. And so I basically have a lot of Mississippi wired up. And I want, people can continue sending me stuff, and I'll continue helping as best I can. You know,
I came across your story last night, Charles. I wrote a column about it for our news site, went up early this morning, and it was almost eerie to me, Charles, that nobody else seemed to be talking about this story. I found it compelling. I listened to the interview last night, cut it up for the program today, was convinced that this guy was a credible source. It didn't seem to me that he was fabricating this or making this up. If he had the text messages to back it up, his story had the ring of truth to it. And I was amazed that nobody seemed to be picking this thing up. And now you're saying this apparently has broken containment and it's going everywhere.
Yeah, it's going everywhere. And, I'm getting all these phone calls. I'm going to be on a bunch of other radio programs. Some people have asked me on TV. I don't like TV. Radio is where I'm at. Just 'cause it's awesome. You can pet your cat at the same time you talk on the radio. And so, but my attitude is I'm going to continue getting stuff out there. The internet has changed the game, and because it's changed the game, I no longer have to deal with intermediaries. I can go directly to the audience, be the arbiter between the source and the audience. And people, look, there's all this pushback on Reverend Fielder. In 2011, he was involved to help Mississippi House Speaker pro tempore, Greg Snowden, go out and get help with campaign organizational assistance, and he was paid $2,500. So, this guy has a history of some questionable things in his past. He's gotten in trouble with breaking the law, but so have Thad Cochran staffers like David Clanton and Salim Obaid, who's the guy who's talking to. He's been busted with working as an aide to Roger Wicker. He was running basically an illegal prostitution house out of his place. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing more people cover it, and I'm looking forward to getting more journalists out there to help.
Now, just one last thing to kind of close the loop on this. I've looked at excerpts from Mississippi state law that make it very, very clear that if you are convicted, and it has to be in a court of law, of course, convicted of vote buying, then if you're a candidate in an election, you have to withdraw you're disqualified. And it doesn't say anything about how many votes have to be bought. If you buy any votes, as I read the statute, you're disqualified from running for that office. And if you are an elected official and there's proof that you purchased votes in order to get that, you have to step down. So just the last question for you, Charles. It looks to me like this scandal could wind up bringing Senator Thad Cochran's senatorial career and this campaign to an end.
Well, I leave that for other people who are smarter than I am to draw that conclusion. I know that I have, sent my information over to the FBI, and I've sent it over to anyone who wants it, who's in law enforcement. I'm happy to provide it. I'm happy to, under penalty of perjury, discuss the entire thing. I mean, I am a believing Christian. I do believe that I'm, called to bear witness. I believe, that you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. That's my animating principle. And so I would just say generally that, I am very, happy to participate in any investigation. I'm like everyone else, I'm trying to get to the bottom of it.
All right, Charles, listen, I really appreciate you taking time to give us the first crack at having you on the radio. I have an idea you're going to be a very, very busy guy over the next news cycle for certain, and very likely beyond that. So thank you for your good work on this. We're going to play some more sound bites from your interview with Pastor Fielder, but we really appreciate you taking time, Charles, and God's best to you.
Thank you. Same to you.
So that's Charles Johnson. He's the journalist that broke this story. The Clarion Ledger has a story out now today where Senator Cochran is denying that there was any vote buying taking place at all. So the Clarion Ledger not going on their website until afternoon. I mean, I was working on this story last night. We had a column up on our news site this morning, crack of dawn virtually, and the Clarion Ledger, the major newspaper in the state of Mississippi, just now getting around to even reporting on this story. Number to call if you want to weigh in on this controversy, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. And I want to be clear, I am not picking on Senator Thad Cochran here, because I don't believe that Senator Cochran really even has much of an idea about what's going on around him. You don't get the sense that he's the guy that's pulling the levers, that's running this thing. People around him are doing this. He has delegated this responsibility to those, or they have arrogated it to themselves, whatever. So I want to be sure you understand, I'm not going after Senator Thad Cochran here, but his campaign and people who are working for him. It appears now there's credible reason to believe, and again, these are allegations. We just have one guy coming forward, but you get a second pastor coming out saying virtually the same thing, then all of a sudden you've got two or three witnesses, and it is by the mouth of two or three witnesses that every fact is confirmed. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Let's play clip number 3. Again, this is Pastor Stevie Fielder talking to investigative journalist Charles Johnson about buying votes for Senator Cochran.
Did you mention about McDaniel possibly being a racist?
Yes, that was their part of their gift.
And how did they
let the people know the reason why that they didn't want him in?
And so you passed that message that Salim gave you to tell them that McDaniel might be a racist, and they would get some money. Is that correct?
Yes.
And based on those two factors, you think that motivated hundreds of people to go vote?
Thousands.
And thousands.
All over the state of Mississippi.
No, but your personal experience, how many do you think you motivated on those two messages?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
All right, so Pastor Fielder saying, look, I myself bought votes from hundreds of people. He's speaking for himself about his own activity, his own experience. I handed out hundreds of these envelopes with $15 in them on the understanding that I was buying their vote for Senator Cochran. And he says, look, I wasn't the only one involved in this. There were thousands across the state of Mississippi who were doing exactly the same thing. Let's listen to clip 4.
So you personally got the cash from Salim?
Yeah.
Where did he say he got the cash from, did he say?
From the campaign.
From the campaign?
And as you can see on several of the checks, it said that he would have them to turn the funds loose.
Okay. And when you got the cash, are we talking estimate? Was the cash divided into $15 envelopes, or was it just a large? Oh, it was. So he didn't expect you to break it up. He broke it up for you.
No, it was broke up already.
Give me an estimate. So how many envelopes were there? Was it 10 boxes of envelopes, or was it 1 box of envelopes? What do you? How much?
Man, like I said, to be frank, it was several thousands of dollars overall, but I got the figures wrote down, and I wouldn't want to misquote. I would rather go back and look at them.
Okay, you'll call us later, but for now, just give me a general estimate. Was it between 100 and 500 envelopes with $15 each, or was it in the thousands of envelopes with $15?
I would say I gave away anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 or more at the least.
So that's 5,000 to 10,000 votes that he says he bought, 5,000 to 10,000 envelopes that he handed out, or $5,000 to $10,000. I guess could be understood either way, but no matter how you slice it, that is a lot of vote fraud. Let's play clip 5 real quick for the break.
Well,
Participating.
I was supposed to be getting paid for what I do.
And what did they say they'd pay you for being the intermediary in this scheme?
$16,000.
$16,000. And when you went to pick up the vote money for the voters, did you ask about your $16,000 you were promised?
Well, they wanted to wait till after the election on Tuesday to see how the votes turn out in the black neighborhood.
I see. Was your payment dependent on Cochran winning?
Yes.
And since he won, have you not gone back and asked for your money?
Yes.
And what happened?
Didn't get anything.
What was his excuse not to pay you?
Oh, they just said that they didn't promise me that kind of money and all of that.
When you say they, you mean Salim, or did you talk to somebody else?
Salim, I've talked to several of them, Kurt, Amanda, and they said that, and all of these are people that's in the, Kurt is supposed to be over the campaign itself.
Did you talk to him?
Yes.
And did you explain that Salim delivered cash?
I explained to them what he said, and they told me that they didn't owe me but $300.
So that's Reverend Fielder saying, look, they promised me $16,000 if I would go out and buy thousands of votes. I did my job. I was handing out $300 packages of candy, like candy. I went to collect my $16,000. They didn't give it to me. They stiffed me, and that's why it says I'm going public. Back in 2.